Hey guys, this is Ricky from Rickydees Productions, and today I have with me
Manuel.
and
Austin.
this is Tech Talk. Dun, 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 dun. Listen to this. Okay, so first topic we're going to be talking about is the Nexus 6 and the Nexus 9, which just barely got announced on Wednesday. New devices. Nexus 6 is made by Motorola. It has an 805 chip in there with a Quad HD screen and a 6-inch screen, so it's really big. And the Nexus 9, which is made by HTC with boom sound speakers, Tegra K1 64-bit chip, which is kind of important for future proofing, and they look pretty good to me. So let's start off with the first question. Do you like what's new, Austin?
Yeah, definitely what's new is big. I definitely say with the new OS coming out with it and then all the different features. I definitely like the 6. I like every feature that they're coming out with it. I think all the new things that they're improving on there will be good. I'm excited to see all the new differences. As far as the Nexus 9, I guess I still have yet to see more on what that will be about, but I definitely say for the Nexus 6, that's something I would get.
I like the Nexus 6. It's going to be one of my top 3 phones, and it's runner up to replace my current phone in the next couple of months, and I'm hoping to look forward to it with Android L and everything that comes with it being future proof.
Okay, so my opinion is, well, the Nexus 6 is competing with the Moto X to be my next phone. I'm gonna have to feel it in store, how it feels in hand, and I'm gonna see how I like that screen size. I've played with this Mega a little bit, and I kind of like it, but I'm not too sure if I could use it as a daily driver for every day. The Nexus 9, I'm not gonna get it. I know that. It's just, it's
Xperia
expensive.
Z3.
It's expensive, and I know it's kind of not that expensive at the same time, but I don't know, it just doesn't bring anything to me. And like every tablet is kind of the same at the same time, even though they're not. Um, which kind of goes into our next section, which is would you buy them? Nexus 6 is a maybe. I have to feel it in store, and then I'll decide if it would be the Moto X or the Nexus 6 for me. And the Nexus 9 is just not going to be the guy for me. What about you, Austin?
Nexus 9, probably not. It's not something in the consideration. The Nexus 6, I'll definitely have to feel because I have a 6.3-inch screen now and I love it. I love being able to have that big of a display even though it runs on like a low processor and stuff. So I'm not getting the greatest image quality, which would be nice about the Nexus 6 putting out the PPI that it has and the resolution. So overall, I'd say the Nexus 6 is going to be my top 3 phones. It's something I would definitely consider, just based with the size and all the different specs of it. So I definitely like the 6. The 9 is not much of a care for me.
I actually, even though the Nexus 9 is impressive and everything, I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna try and buy one because I have my eyes set on Xperia Z3 or another tablet. And the Nexus 6, the only problem I have with it is I think it's too big because I'm going from a 4.5-inch display to a little bit bigger. And so I'd need to hold it before I feel comfortable with it. And odds are everything about it is seems enjoyable, so I'd probably buy it.
The
Yeah.
biggest thing here is, I guess, if you don't have a big phone already, it's gonna be hard to get used to it at first, but after that, it's quite enjoyable to have one.
Yeah, and
Gaming and video is a great experience on them.
what's good what's good that it's coming to every store is that you're going to be able to go to Verizon or an AT&T and you're going to be able to try it out. And
Yeah,
you're going to not have to guess maybe I like it, maybe I don't from the Google Play Store. And that's a really good thing. Obviously, it was in T-Mobile. The Nexus 5 was in T-Mobile before, but it was still kind of not anywhere else. So that's a really nice thing that you can go to any store and be able to try that out. That also kind of brings us into our next section is Google doing the right thing? They're bringing it to different carriers. They're bringing a new size with it. What's your opinion on that, Austin?
yeah, that's definitely the right thing. They're bringing it to a broad audience, and it's going to make it so everyone can enjoy it, and it's not just targeted to a specific market or a specific area or company. I know dealing with phones, dealing with people, you can always tell that there's a lot of people that are specifically Verizon, specifically T-Mobile. This one will make it accessible to all those groups, so there's no worry.
As well, the price is something to take into consideration. It's going back to the older Nexuses before the 4 and the 5, where they were flagship prices instead of the price of $350, which we really like with the Nexus 5 and the Nexus 4. What do you think about that?
Nexus 4, I like that it's going to multiple carriers. I have a problem with things that are on like one carrier, like Droid. I think they should go to other carriers, even though it's not possible. It's really a huge disappointment. So it's really cool that they can have more people they can access. And I don't think it would be nearly as successful if it was only on, say, T-Mobile or Sprint.
Okay, and actually we have some leaks about release dates. No, not leaks, but actual official. The Nexus 6 goes on pre-order on October 29th, and the Nexus 9 and the Nexus Player, which we're not talking about right now, went on pre-order the 17th. So you can get those at Best Buy. They have it on pre-order as well, and the Google Play Store, obviously. Our next section is Android Lollipop, and it's really exciting. I'm really excited for that. Have a Nexus 7, have a Moto G. I'm going to get that. One of the first people to get that. Um, so let's talk about a little bit of the differences between the developer preview and Android Lollipop. What's caught your eye?
Well, Lollipop in general is kind of a big thing. It's gonna bring a lot to the table, and it's gonna definitely show off some new stuff Google's been working on. I'm excited to see all the features, really, but one thing I'm really looking forward to is I know they've made a big deal about battery saving. The way the OS carries out, it's supposed to be able to, I guess, save your battery better. It's supposed to handle it better, manage it better, and I'm really excited to see that. As the phone I have now and the Android experience I have now, I have a 3200 milliamp battery, and that one does just fine for my low resolution. But some of these other phones coming at higher resolutions, they obviously are going to take more battery, and it's going to be running less. But I'll be excited to see how well they do with trying to manage that. So that's probably the biggest feature that's caught my eye.
I gotta say, messing around with the developer configuration and developing for Android L has been fun and unique, and I like that it's using Art instead of Davic. And I'm really interested to see how they use a new notification system and how they interact more with the developer so they can make it more of a like unique experience and how it's working to be easier to develop for.
Yeah, and there's like a ton of new APIs, so that's really cool for all the apps that are able to be made.
Ooh, animations.
Oh yeah,
Animations.
animations. You got to talk about the
Can't
animations.
forget the animations. That's another thing that's really interesting. I like that. It's interesting that they do that because I don't know how much it's cared for, but it's definitely something nice as a little perk. I'm way excited to see all the little animations with everything that you get.
Yeah, if you've used Google Photos, the app from Google Plus, you can see just at the top, it's just a little menu button, and it just animates to become a little arrow, and it's just the coolest little thing. Most people won't like care if it's on there, but it's just a nice thing to have, and it just kind of gives it a little bit more.
That's the thing. It's not cared for as much as it is just a little enjoyment that will come out of it. But it will definitely be cool to see if you've messed around with anything like that.
And it also looks a little more unique. As well, it's in the new Google Play Store build, which is really cool. Love the new animations with it. One other thing is the notifications. I really like what they're doing with it. It's a lot. It's a different take on what they had before, and I think it's going to work really well.
Also, they're going to be supporting more 64-bit architecture versus 32, so that's going to be interesting to see how they handle less memory limitations and stuff.
Yeah, and they're pushing that with the Nexus 9, obviously, with that 64-bit Tegra K1 processor. Is there anything you don't like about Android Lollipop?
That one's going to be a tough one to say until I actually probably see the phones that will have it and I get to mess around with the OS in person. Just because it's so new, it's still so fresh, I don't know that there's much ground to say what I do and don't like. I obviously could say about the other OS softwares and systems that there's things that I don't like or don't necessarily care for, but this new one's going to be a totally different experience, I think, so just excited to see what it'll be like until I can give a review on what I do and don't like.
Honestly, I'm going to be happy that a new version of Android comes out because, unlike other operating systems that are not going to be named iOS 8, Android usually comes out really well. They're usually really prepared and they handle a lot of issues fast. So it's going to be fun to play around with.
And then we have a couple release dates that were leaked by Android Police for the Nexus 5 and the Nexus 7, and it said uh, it should come in the next 2 weeks, over-the-air update, or no, not the over-the-air update. In the next 2 weeks, they should have where you can flash it. They should have it on Android.com, and then over-the-air updates should be coming in about 3 or 4 weeks. So be expecting that for your Nexus 7 or your Nexus 5. If you have either of those devices, you should be excited, or you can just flash it to your tablet or phone as well, which is really fun. Next topic is the new iPads. What do you like about it?
Well, as all three of us are in a common agreement, we are not all Apple fans. In fact, almost nothing Apple is something we're worthy to own. But I guess we're going to talk about Apple for a minute. I'd say my current stance is I'd say that probably the iPhone 6, since I've got to mess around with that a little bit, is pretty cool. They're coming with some new stuff with that. The new iPads, I'm excited to see what those will be all about. I know they're running really high. One hope that I have and I'm excited for is I hope that iOS 8 carries across really well with their new iPads, just because I know it's had problems on phones, but this one's really a tough one to get with and to talk about just because I'm not a fan.
I gotta say, even though I hate Apple with a huge passion, and every iDevice I've had has been terrible, and that's why I stopped buying them now. And even when I mess around with them, I just can't stand them. The Apple, and even though it doesn't have the best hardware, you can't really deny that they aren't optimized. That's why they run so well, even comparing against flagships of Android like the Samsungs or even the Sony, which have been some of the most powerful phones. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with it.
Paying for the name.
Yeah.
Paying for the name.
I don't know if I like the i6 yet. I've tried it out in hand, and I'm not sure. I can't just have. I don't know. I don't have an opinion for it. I like iOS 8 though. It looks the same as iOS 7, which is a big thing. It wasn't a big UI change, but
Well,
it's whatever.
I don't know. The whole thing is interesting.
Yeah, and one thing I do like, I gotta point out in iOS 8 is that it's gonna be continuity between Mac OS X and Yosemite and iOS 8, so you can like pick up a phone call you had on your computer or your iPad or your phone. That's a really cool thing. Unfortunately, keyboards suck either way. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Nope.
enough said.
And you know, the new iPads, a little bit about that is the iPad Air 2 got released. It's got a new A8X chip in there. It's got new metal stuff, so your games are going to be awesome. Touch ID, I believe, is on there as well, and that's the only couple big things about it. The iPad Mini 3, don't buy it. It's like you just get Touch ID, and it's exactly like the iPad Mini 2. So
Yeah, the mini though, just one thing I do like, if I have to say something, it's really weight reductant, less than a pound, just under a pound.
yeah, that's always really important with the tablet.
It is.
You don't want to
holding
be
it in your hand. You need something that fits. It's not heavy. You don't feel like you got a child in your hand.
Try to bend them and see what happens. Okay, let's move on to the next section.
What do you need to try?
Microsoft keyboard. So Microsoft made a keyboard for Android Wear. There'll be a link in the description. You can watch the video. And it's basically you write the letter that you want to put in there, and it pops it up in the little space to write. One question this kind of brings up is, do we need a keyboard on a watch? And obviously, these guys don't have a lot of experience with watches. I do have the LG G watch. And personally, I don't know. I don't like interacting that much on the hair. I like just the voice integration that it has, and obviously it's going to get better with the next Android Wear version. But I'm not going to get a keyboard on there, but sometimes I can see where it could be. Like sometimes I'm at work, and I don't want to just like pull up my wrist and say something and that might. So as I was saying, it might be worthwhile when you're like in a place where you can't talk and it should be quiet in there, like in a meeting or something. You don't want to go, "Hey, what's up?" to your watch, you know. What do you think about it?
I watched this video that's going to be in the link last night, and I had lots of open opinionated thoughts about it. I like the innovation side of this. I like that they're integrating keyboards in watches, but I don't know how much that's going to be used. Obviously, like Ricky was saying, sometimes talking to your watch is a lot easier than having to type it. And if you see how the keyboard works, as you can imagine, there's no room for a full keyboard. What you have to do is that you write out your letters and then it types it for you. And I guess this could be good for short messages, but there's no way you'd ever want to write a paragraph to somebody on this little tiny watch. It's just not going to happen. And to be honest, with the way they're making phones nowadays, we're not going to convert to a watch as our new phone. Yes, it's good and we can use it, but phones, we buy them for reasons, to use them.
There's actually a thing about Will.i.am. He recently launched a new smartwatch where you actually don't need a phone for it. It acts as a phone, so you can call, text, do whatever from it.
Well, that's what most do now. It just
I think that's the wrong way to do smartwatches.
Like it's trying to be your main thing instead of having a smartwatch, and they're going to try and cut down costs from there. It seems like a really bad idea, though.
that is
Like his last tech endeavor failed.
Okay, so personally, I think notifications is the way to go with smartwatches. There's an actual smartwatch that's an Android phone. It's just a mini phone. Like it even has a home, back, and menu button on there, and it's like running a full version of Android 4.2. And I personally don't think that's a good idea. It's like I have a phone. I don't want another one on my wrist. That's like
exactly.
It's
People
dumb.
don't want a phone on their wrist. They want the phone that they bought to enjoy in their pocket. They want a watch to make things easier in some aspects.
Yeah, and it's just a convenience factor, and right now smartwatches aren't a thing that you need at all.
I also got to say this about, sorry to cut you off, about phones, but phones act as a multimedia device. They play games, they play movies, they play music. They do all those things that we use, like our stereos or TVs or DVD players or computers, to do. They do it things a lot more convenient, but smartwatches aren't meant for being a major thing. They're just used for small tasks, like you said.
Convenience.
Yeah,
Notifications
convenience.
and convenience.
And that's the way it should be done. And I feel like people are trying to do different. Like Samsung's doing the LG GS or something like that, or not the LG GS. Sorry, the what's it called? It's like a Gear S or something, and it's like a standalone, and you can like make phone calls and text from that. And I don't know. I don't think that's a good way to go at smartphones.
It's good innovation. It's not good sale idea. I don't think it'll carry over very far with the ideas that go in that direction. Just because it's convenient to have a watch, but like I said, people buy a phone for a reason. If I go and buy a phone, I don't want technology to get to the point one day where I look at my wrist and I'm playing my video games like my Clash of Clans or whatever. I want to actually pull out my nice phone that I bought for that reason, that's running the high graphics, that's running the processors. I want to be able to take out a phone that has a bigger camera that can take like better pictures. I don't want to get to the technology one day where it's a watch doing that for me. I buy my phones for a reason.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point, Austin. That's a good point.
I gotta say, I'm not gonna buy a really expensive smartwatch. I'm probably just gonna buy like a cheap one, cheapish one, or probably a pre-owned one, because I just the convenience for like a full retail one, because it just doesn't seem worth it to me.
To be honest, there's not even a need for it. It's more of a want. It's a luxury-owned item. It's not something we need.
But that's the way
And that's what
tablets
we're
used to
gonna
be, and like they're used. Like in
Yeah, but you
schools
still
and-
don't need tablets.
Yeah, we still don't
like
need
I
them.
own one, and like I still understand that people can go their whole entire lives without a tablet, and it's still not necessary. I don't use it as
No,
much
it's,
as I wish
it's
I
more
could.
portable than a laptop, but it can still get work done. That's why they're
Depends.
used
If it's
really.
a Surface, yeah.
No, that's why they're used like. I'm not talking about the Surface because that's technically a laptop. But-
Technically,
yeah.
it's a tablet too.
Yeah, it's the portability of a laptop, but it's pretty much a laptop. That's what they're trying to do, but I'm talking about like iPads and stuff. That's
They're
why
not
nearly
productivity. They're not.
Let me
productivity.
just say something
no,
here.
that's why they're used, and like every teacher in the state, in our state, has one, and a lot of businesses they use those for like assistance on like high-ranking like people.
But if they just use them to like display presentations
Yeah,
on the
it's
screen,
nothing
like
that's
they don't.
necessarily needed.
No,
a laptop does the same
No,
thing.
no,
a
no. I'm
tablet
just saying,
does. In-
like
It's
there's
just I can pick it up and move around with it. And,
Yeah, that's
you
the
know,
convenience
slide
factor.
to the next
That's the
slide
thing that's like,
about features. And yeah, so tablets and smartwatches are
They're
cool.
luxuries. They're not needs. They're just cool.
they're just cool. And
I-
if you want one, buy it if you have the money. But if you're like speculating, oh, do I really need this? And you don't.
Well,
not a lot of smartwatches have been getting good reviews yet either.
Yeah.
And like as of right now, nearly everyone is saying they don't really have much to offer other than convenience for notifications like text.
well, and it's a lot of money that you pay for just this little thing that's going to notify you that you got a text message.
Yeah, 200
What's
something.
so hard about you people about pulling your phone out of your pocket and just looking? Are we that lazy now?
Well, you have a 6-inch phone, so
Yeah, and
That's well, yeah.
we can actually bring this
So-
back to the Nexus 6. Is Google making a bigger phone so it can sell smartwatches a little more instead of having to pull out your humongous phone? You can just look at your wrist and it'll be a little more convenient.
yeah, but that goes
make
back
you want
to
buy the Nexus
the
6.
keyboard. Like the keyboard still is a pretty terrible idea because even though it offers convenience for like 3-letter words or something, it's still going to take you like 30 seconds to write out a paragraph in 5 seconds.
Oh, not even. If you watch the video, it's not even that long. I mean, you're talking like a minute to send 5 words.
Yeah.
To write out all that, that's way inconvenient.
And I think that it's going to be a lot more useful when they have better processors, so they can handle more of that faster.
Oh well, it's not just. It's not. It's
But even
the
then-
watch being slow. It's that it's slow to do that type
Yeah.
of thing. That's what the problem is.
Yeah, I could see that, but
There's also another keyboard by Minim. I believe they have one, and I haven't really tried that one out.
it's still not really going to have major uses that we can think of right now. But
I
I'm
don't
just-
think it'll ever have major uses.
I'm
It's
saying
always
that-
going to be a luxury item. It's not
I'm-
going to be something.
I'm going to
No.
say that it's going to be
That's my
something
opinion.
that business people use. So like if they're in meetings, they don't have to like check their phone.
That's what I'm saying
Or,
with the
like,
keyboard. That's
if
going to be
they,
useful.
I'll tell you what. If I can have a watch one day that I can walk to my car and it'll start, I'll buy that watch.
Yeah,
But
that'd be
also-
nice.
If it turns on my TV,
They're actually
if it starts
doing
my
that.
car, then
They're-
I'll buy that watch.
Yeah, it just needs to
They're-
integrate with everything.
They're
we
actually
have.
doing stuff where you can go and
Everything in life is better because of this watch. It does everything.
It does
for you.
everything. It feeds me and it seats me and does everything.
Manual spoon comes out and puts the pudding in your mouth. I mean, that watch one day, that is the watch I'm going to buy.
One thing, I think they need to really put in there is NFC.
they're actually
Yes.
Yeah.
they're
NFC.
actually bringing in more
And
like
that's an Apple thing.
features
It's
for
an Apple Watch.
smartwatches where you can actually unlock your phone, like security clearance with the watch.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's trust-
and they're also
the Nexus
doing
6
stuff
is
with
gonna
your
have features
car.
like that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
any Motorola device has trusted
What about
devices
Lollipop
already.
in general?
Yeah, it's
is
actually
that-
gonna have
is that a
that.
Lollipop
feature?
it's a lollipop.
Yeah,
Because
feature.
their biggest focus, I heard, was security. One of their
And-
biggest
yeah,
focus.
it's gonna
So
be one
it's
of the
basically
things.
trusted devices. If you ever use a Motorola device, you have a lock code on there, and then you can just pair whatever Bluetooth device. It doesn't have to be a smartwatch. It can be a stereo or anything like that, and it just unlocks.
They're actually planning on doing it with cars too.
Yeah, anything Bluetooth basically works.
Yeah, they're doing it. Yeah.
And that's a really neat feature. I think.
The thing was, I hope Lollipop is going to be able to sustain battery with that running Bluetooth all the time.
Okay, check us out next week. We'll have a couple more news stories, and we'll talk about more interesting things. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys later. Look as disinterested as you can. Okay.
Boy, that's not gonna be hard.